Okay, Georgia falls to LSU. Really a pretty bad beating for Georgia. They stuck in there for a while. This game was not over at the half like I thought it could have been. We're going to try to move y'all around Mercedes-Benz here. Joe Burrow, I've been a Heisman voter since 2005. Yeah. So I'm not sure I've ever seen someone live that was quite this good. And I've covered Cam Newton, Tim Tebow, Baker. Baker was pretty good. Tua Tagovailoa. Don't skip the highlights here. This is where we work underneath Mercedes-Benz. I don't know that you'll get the full appreciation of this, but look, the better team won. It wasn't close actually, to me, and I think that for Georgia, you just move on to the Sugar Bowl. You'll probably get Baylor. You will get Baylor. So that will be a game that a lot of people won't be interested in, but here for Georgia, it gives you a chance to close out the season as a top 10 team. But they got issues, man. I mean, they got issues on the offensive side of the ball. They do not have issues on the defense. They're playing a once-in-a-generation LSU offense, that's for sure, for LSU. But this offense has got to get better, and it's a combination of a lot of different things. Kirby was asked tonight, and I don't think it was a bad question, are you getting the most out of your talent? Tonight, it was like Georgia wasn't even playing because you didn't have DeAndre Swift complete. I mean, it's obvious DeAndre Swift they were not comfortable putting him in to play at running back, like traditional running back. They just weren't comfortable with it. I think they're cleaning the field right now, getting the SEC logos off of it. But it was just clear to me that they weren't comfortable with DeAndre lining up and playing running back. Now, this is probably the last meaningful game that DeAndre will play. And that's his prerogative. I think he's had a great career at Georgia. I don't know if he'll play in the Sugar Bowl. He's not going to play hurt in the Sugar Bowl. I know that. So we'll see if he's healthy. But he was not healthy tonight, and you can't take away one of the number one things that you do and really expect to compete in a way that where you can win. I mean, LSU's good enough as is that you're going to have problems along the way. But when you're not effectively running the ball, you can forget it. So that was a lot of what happened tonight. Was that you're playing. I don't see how LSU's not the number one seed. I don't know what the peanut gallery thinks, but are they clearly the best team in the country? It looked like it tonight. They looked damn good tonight. And it's one of those things where we're not going to go up with everybody. It's one of those things where I think you're looking at the best team in the country tonight. The way that Ohio State is struggling is an indication that Ohio State and Clemson are going to play one another. And the winner of that game is going to get probably LSU in New Orleans. Now that's going to be a challenge for anybody playing. Anybody playing LSU, you're going to have to. They ran the ball effectively. They threw the ball. I mean, the problem is Joe Burrow. When you've got him, you don't have him. I thought he had his Heisman moment in the third quarter when he dodged two very good Georgia defenders. And they were the better team. LSU's the better team. It's clear there should be no shame in losing to a better team. And you got beat by 4 touchdowns. Here are some statistics. Yeah, I mean, he was 28 for 38, 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, I don't know what else you want. I mean, the guy was a damn superstar. The running, 132. That's not bad for going up against Georgia. I mean, that's not bad. We're going to go this way and you're that way? Yeah, okay. We just have to go get the 2 are that way. Hey, get the bag. Get the bag. So I thought the best team won. And I don't think there's any shame in that. Kirby and I, again, going back to the question he was asked about, are you getting the most out of your team in terms of the talent? I think his response was probably correct, which is, hey, listen, we need better players at receiver. We need this, we need that. I mean, LSU's receivers have always been legit, it feels like. This group is no different. Just really a good team. I can't say enough about them. I thought they were great. I anticipate that they will win the national championship at this second. But, Ohio State's going to give them trouble too. If it's Clemson, Clemson can run up and down the field. We just don't know. We don't know anything about Clemson. We don't know anything about Clemson. Dabo, my email is Dean@DogPost. Just send it to me. It's great. I'll get you, some napkins or stuff that you can cry in. No one wants to hear that, man. No one cares. At some point, you got to go just play and win and deal with what you got. And the national media is tired of that whole, act. And I don't know how much Ohio State will be favored against Clemson by. I'm assuming that's who will play them. At this point, I'd be pretty surprised if Ohio State didn't play Clemson. But you never know. We can't know for sure. We overwalked it. No, we're fine. So how are we going to do this? We're going to take them up there too, Matt? We can. Did we do that at Bobby Dodd?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. How many times have we done this today? So, can you do this?
Yeah.
I think for Georgia, you've got to take a very serious look in the mirror. I know how Kirby is. He will make changes. They're going to have to make changes. Jake had 2 very good years to start his career at Georgia. This was a forgettable year. You rolling down the ISO or the shutter?
Yeah.
So you're talking about a guy who has been extremely popular at Georgia. Now he's going to get grief the whole offseason because a win over Baylor is not going to, we got to go. Get the field too when you get a shot. A win over Baylor is not going to get the job done for this Georgia fan base that's rabid. And I'll say this too, you're only going to run roughshod over the East for so long. At some point, the Gators will get to Atlanta. I'm not sure if it will be next year. I don't know. Damn, I almost overshot it again. At some stage, you're not going to be in Atlanta. And you got to take advantage of these opportunities. They did in 2007. These last 2 years, look, they just weren't the better team tonight. And last year, I don't know if you could say that about their game with Alabama, but they got to play better in big moments. They got to be better on offense. This really was an eye-opening night, really, for George Pickens. I thought George Pickens really played well. They need him to play the whole game. They need James Cook. Kendall Milton better be ready to go. He's a really good player. He didn't suffer an ACL at the end of the game, or at the end of the year like Zamir did. Zamir White, that's not the Zamir White that I have seen. So you could be looking at a very different Zamir White a year later. This still has the trappings of a team that's going to be very good. But Kirby's going to have to address the offense. They just are. I mean, we don't know. Do we know Jake Fromm's coming back? I don't see how he can't. There's 2 different ways of looking at it. I mean, either you can say, well, he's not going to improve his draft stock, so why didn't he just go ahead and go? Or you could say, man, he's had a rough 6 games. Tonight, 2 interceptions. I mean, particularly the one when they could have made a game of it again. That was a tough one. Alabama's got transition. This Georgia team should. You kind of think they should go to Alabama and win. I know that sounds crazy right now, but they got to figure it out on offense. And the truth of the matter is, we won't know what Georgia's got really until they go to T-Town and play Bama, because the game against Baylor won't be next year. The game against Virginia, nobody will give Georgia credit for winning that game if they win it, and I don't see how they don't win it. It's going to be here. It's going to be on Labor Day night. They've got the right coach. They've got a lot of things in the right places, but they're not quite right on offense at all. And if you're not going to run the ball at Georgia, you're not Georgia. I mean, that's not who they are. I mean, throwing the ball and spreading it out. And Kirby said, it depended on how you wanted to hear what he said tonight as to if you think that they're going to be a different team next year on offense. He said, I just want to score points. And he said, hey, we had to replace 4 guys at receiver. He's right about that. You talk about Terry, Mecole, Isaac Nada, JJ. I'm sure I'm forgetting other people. Riley Ridley. These receivers are not like those were. They're just not. Now, Pickens has the capability to be a total freak, no doubt. But you just can't have one. I mean, you look at LSU, you look at Clemson, I guess you look at Ohio State, but definitely Ohio State and Clemson, and they have 2 freaks. So you're going to need to add that in Pickens and someone else. I mean, Matt Landers has got to pick it up. You got to get more production from the tight ends. You're losing both of your tight ends. Now, they didn't do a lot this year, but they scored touchdowns and so forth. But when you look at the global, where Georgia sits right now, I mean, this is the terminal loss of the season. A week into December, you're looking at the terminal loss for Georgia. The perspective is you used to have those in October, but now the issue is climbing over the rock and getting where you got to go. LSU changed a lot in 1 year. Joe Burrow exploded in 1 year. Can Jake Fromm do that? Can they get more production when they need it? And can they return to the explosive offense that they have been in the recent past? Because they're not explosive right now. They are grind it up and grind you out. They need some cheap, easy points. The whole year they didn't have that. And when they play Baylor, it's going to be hard to do that because their defense is so good. They held Oklahoma in check today. So, do you want to fire Jake Fromm? Do you want to fire James Coley? Do you want to, it's hard with Mike Bobo out there, not seriously making a play for him coming on campus. Because the concern you would have is, hey, is Jake Fromm getting better as a quarterback, or is this a question? I don't know the answer. I'm not smart enough to know the answer. Is Jake Fromm getting better as a quarterback, or are what we're seeing a lack of receiver production because the receivers aren't as good? I don't know. You tell me. But I think, every program goes through this. Unless you're Clemson and you kind of just don't have to deal with the ups and downs of the weekly stuff. Everybody, LSU this time last year, got humbled by Alabama. I mean, they just couldn't beat them. And this year they smoked them, it felt like. So there are things you can do, and there are things that Georgia needs to do, but Kirby's got to take a look in the mirror and figure out what you do with the offense. That's the problem right now, and we'll just see what the future holds for Georgia. Dean Legge signing off from the Georgia Dome's replacement, LSU, a convincing win over Georgia. Congratulations to LSU, that played great. I think they're the best team in the country as it stands right now. We'll see what happens in the postseason. Georgia going to the Sugar Bowl almost certainly.